The 5 aspects of your story's plot, part 1. Does your story even need a plot? The answer is a resounding yes. But that's not the real question you want an answer to, because if you're asking if your story needs a plot, then you probably don't know what your plot is. Have you ever gone to a movie that you really liked or read a book that you couldn't put down? You found it so interesting you needed to tell someone about it? Well, that description that you're telling a friend, coworker, or family member in a way is the plot. But to be more concise and a little more technical, a plot is a series of events from which your story is built. These events take place in a specific order which prevents your story from going off into different, unnecessary directions with no clear understanding of how you got there or how you will get to your ending. While I'm still being technical, the structure can be divided into 5 basic elements: exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, and the resolution. I know this is beginning to sound a little like English lit class, sorry. There's just some things that need telling, and there just isn't any enjoyable way of telling them. But I'll try. Time for another of my little tales. This one I didn't make up myself. A drunk man is sitting at a bar downing his 8th beer. He begins slurring his words as he calls to the bartender for a 9th beer. The bartender, who also owns the bar, notices how drunk he is and, not wanting to have this guy throw up all over his bar, refuses to give him another. You see, this bartender is known for becoming extremely angry whenever anyone messes up his bar. After not being allowed a 9th beer, the man says to the bartender, "I'll make you a bet." The bartender says, "What's the bet?" The man says, "Do you see that empty glass on that table way over there?" The bartender looks 3 tables over to a single glass sitting in the middle of a table. "Yeah, I see it," said the bartender. "Okay, I'll bet you $300 that I can piss into that glass from where I am now without missing a drop." The bartender began laughing and asked the drunk man, "You are going to piss into that glass way over there from where you are now without missing a drop?" The drunk man says, "Yes, and when I do, you'll owe me a beer." The bartender says, "Okay, I'll take your bet, but if you miss even one drop, you lose your $300 and you get no beer." "Fair enough," said the drunk man, and after slapping his $300 down on the counter, took out his dick and began aiming in the direction of the glass. While everyone in the bar watched in silence, the drunk man let go a ferocious stream, so out of control, he pissed all over the bar stools, on either side of himself, then all over the bar counter. Then he even covered the bartender and a couple of the other people in the bar. When he was finally finished, he had pissed all over everything in the bar except the glass he was aiming for. The bartender and the other people in the bar began laughing hysterically, realizing that he was a drunk fool who had just lost $300. "You lose," said the bartender as he grabbed up the money. "No beer for you." The drunk man then did up his pants and said, "Hold on just a minute." Then he disappeared into the back room and returned with a huge smile on his face. The bartender looked at him smiling and said, "Why are you smiling? You just lost $300. Today I'm going to talk about that all-important part of your plot, the exposition. And at the end of this video, I'll tell you why the drunk man was so happy. The exposition, it's one of those technical words that have most writers concerned. But really, it's not all that intimidating. All it is a fancy way of summing up the background information on the characters and setting. And this is explained at the beginning as well as throughout your story. Think about it. The dictionary term for exposition is explanation. For the life of me, I don't know why they couldn't just title it explanation. Remember back in school when you had show and tell? I remember back when a kid named Lester brought in his father's really expensive model train engine. Apparently, he had it shipped in from some far off place to complete his amazing train collection. If my dad had such an engine, trust me, I wouldn't even be able to touch it, much less leave the house with it. For show and tell, that day I brought in my mom's handheld mixer, which I nearly injured the teacher with when I plugged it in without making sure it was in the off position. Anyway, Lester begins to tell the class about his dad's engine. It's very rare. It came from Europe that took many weeks to get to our house. It's got a compartment for coal because that's what it uses to run. Here, you can see where the engineer sits. He drives the train. When show and tell was over, everyone couldn't wait to get a better look at the engine. No one even looked at my mom's mixer. As a matter of fact, the teacher told me she would hang on to it until I was ready to bring it home so I wouldn't accidentally hurt someone with it. I guess what I'm trying to say is show and tell is like the exposition of your story. Have you ever wondered why we had show and tell back in grade school? Well, believe it or not, it's for a slew of reasons: comprehension, cognitive skills, boosting confidence, descriptive language skills, and not the least of which is storytelling. I won't list all the others. Showing and telling helps us to learn from an early stage in our development how to express ourselves cognitively. It helps us to understand that when we are describing pretty much anything in our story, we have progressed past the level of where Lester was when he talked about his dad's engine and acquired the ability to express ourselves at a more confident level. For example, you wouldn't write like this: She is a woman, the protagonist. Her name is Nicole, and she is young. She is in her 20s. The year is 1997, and it is Valentine's Day. It is February 14. She has made dinner. It is for her and her fiance. She is nervous about how good her cooking is. Her phone rings. Someone is calling her. They told her something that made her very upset. They told her that her fiance was in a hotel with another woman. Now, it sounds like something Lester would write. And for a fourth grader, it's not bad. But if you want something that your reader will enjoy, you can't expect to get away with something like that. It actually sounds like a laundry list of facts. Don't get me wrong, it might just be all pertinent information, but really not all that enjoyable to read about. Here's a better way to get your point across. Nicole, the protagonist, sits by the phone. She's a little on edge after waiting nearly an hour for her fiance to arrive at her apartment. Still in her 20s, this is her first attempt at cooking dinner for him, and she's worried that it won't stand up to his mother's cooking that he often brags about. She wouldn't have even tried a full meal, but it's a special occasion. She looks up at the calendar on the wall. It shows February 14th, 1997. She smiles. It's their 1 year anniversary. She's suddenly enthralled in the memory of when they first met. Finally, her phone rings and she is brought back to reality. Thinking that it might be bad news, she's almost afraid to answer it. It is bad news, but not anything she is expecting. Someone is calling to inform her that her fiance isn't coming. He's at a hotel with another woman. The very hotel he took her to the first time they made love. Her emotions are suddenly erratic. She grabs her keys and, after slamming the door to her apartment, heads to the Broken Heart Motel. All the pertinent information is presented, but without coming off as a list of facts. It makes it more enjoyable for the reader and leaves them anticipating more. It's important to understand that the exposition's job is to provide background information about your characters and setting. It's also important to understand that although a lot of your exposition is conveyed at the beginning or just before your story, it is not restricted to that part of your story. Generally, your exposition is woven into your entire story, revealing key facts as your reader follows along the plot. In our example of the young woman Nicole, maybe that story doesn't begin until the first scene where she is holding a gun in her hand while standing over a dead body in a hotel room. Seeing that scene alone leaves your reader with questions, but with the beauty of entering the exposition at key moments in your story, you are able to provide some clarity without jeopardizing the impact such a scene has for your story as a whole. As a key element of your plot, the exposition is a tool that can aid you in making your story a page turner. Just keep in mind that the exposition, or explanation, as I like to call it, is there to offer your readers some insight into what has already taken place, is taking place, or will eventually take place. And now I'll finish this story I call The Drunk Man, the Bet, and the Bartender. The drunk man, with a large smile on his face, said this to the bartender. Well, you see, there is a man in that back room, and earlier, while I was on my fifth beer, I bet him $1,000 that I could piss on you, your bar, and half the people in here, and instead of you getting angry, I would leave you laughing. Thanks for watching, and if you found anything that I said beneficial to you in any way, hit that subscribe button because you never know. My next video might just be helpful too.